What's going on, everybody? Mr. Charco here, and I'm going to show you how to get the best start in franchise mode. Um, a lot of the roster cuts came out today, so I kind of edited my Titans roster a little bit just so it's more realistic. So we'll go ahead and load that. If you need to load it, you just go down to Creation Center, scroll over to load, and go over there. Once you have loaded one or you have one, you can edit it here. I do this because if not, every single time I go in to do franchise mode, I have to reposition every single player, and it gets annoying. So for the most part, I have it similar to how the roster is. There's certain players that are not yet added, but this is just a quick go through of everything. With your linebackers, this game has changed the edge position and the linebacker position. So like as you can see, there's Sam, Mike, and Will, and the Titans in real life use a different kind of defense where they have the outside linebackers as kind of like the edge hybrid players. Madden doesn't play well that way because if you got these guys out here as your outside linebackers, they're just too slow. So I like to just have them as the edge players. So that's something I always change. But anyways, let's jump into how to get the best start. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go up to franchise mode, of course, enter franchise. Now there's two ways to go about this. It's going to prompt you to either do offline solo or online solo multiplayer. It doesn't matter that much. Just for the sake of it being quicker, I'll do the online. And then you can do specific weekly roster, or since I loaded that roster I currently have, I can select this. Do that, it'll take a few seconds just to upload it. Wait for that to go through. And then once that's done, we can start choosing our settings.
Choose which team you'll begin your
Alright,
franchise.
so I'm a Titans fan, so I'm gonna pick Titans. Alright, now here, it is very important you select Development Wizard. So we're gonna select that. I'm not too worried about naming my coach right here. What is important though, you can go ahead and change your playbooks. I currently use the Lions offensive playbook and then the Chiefs defense. Like I said, you can go through and change your appearance, apparel. You can actually adjust your apparel now. The faces are kind of wonky looking. There's like one I halfway like, but we'll just go with that. That's fine. Save and exit.
The menu on the left lets you adjust your league settings and where to start your franchise.
Now,
Preseason,
starting point, just keep it as preseason. Make sure you keep it as preseason. League settings. So I like to do 10-minute quarters, and then I play all Madden simulation. I don't like the multimeter, but I use it, sadly. Everything else, 20 is good. You can feel free to adjust anything that you want to. The only thing that I keep auto is the practice reps. Auto progress players, I don't like that. Some people do. I turn off the tutorial pop-ups. If you're new to it, you can keep them on, but they just kind of get annoying. And then that's kind of like at the end of the game, it'll show you how many points you got as a coach at the end of the game. I always put trade difficulty very hard, so it's more realistic. Salary cap on, practice squad stealing on, because you can get some really good players from the practice squads. Wear and tear, keep that on. It actually is a big factor. I don't like the fatigue, so I just turn off the fatigue, but you can only have one of them at the same time. The wear and tear system, once you get your trainer put up, it's really not that bad, and it's realistic now. Pre-order bonus, we'll keep that on. It gives you an extra 200 points. You're going to need that. I don't know if you don't get that. I don't know if you only get it with pre-order or not, but I got it. Breakout scenarios on. I turn off the development trait regression. That way, if you draft a rookie and he sits behind a veteran for a year or two, you don't lose his trait. Sometimes they also just lose them for no reason. Superstar abilities on. Minimum roster size 46, and then fill roster, I always turn that off. Alright, so now that we got those fun settings out of the way, we can start playing. It's going to let me know that I have the 200 extra points. So the first thing I like to do is we immediately jump down here to the coach interview. Right now, this is the most important part to get a great start in franchise mode. You can go ahead and skip this. It's just a quick cutscene. But here, it's going to ask you, what is the big reason you were hired was your ability to develop talent and what yada yada yada, you want to make sure you click focus players and hold that down. All right. Once you skip that, shifting on the field. So this depends on what you like to level up. I like to get my wide receivers and tight ends up real quick. So I'll go ahead and pick offense. If you want to do cornerbacks or linebackers or edge or something, click defense, but I'm going to do offense. And I always do my receivers. So that's going to help with my receivers. And then finally, this is also very important. I like to develop my receivers and everything. So this will be developing offense. And that's going to give us practition for wide receivers and tight ends. So after you do that, you go down to Coach Central, your abilities, and you can see here I have unlocked After School Tutor, which allows me to have 1 additional focus player, 2 additional focus players, 3 additional focus players, and then 10% increase training the XP for all players. And then same for the wide receiver. Boost once you get to the final thing, it is 20%. Now before you spend your points, if you want to be really good at drafting, this is the best way to level up your current roster. So if you're not worried about drafting as much, I would just go ahead and level these bad boys up. But if you really want to get the most out of drafting, Scout's Honor is going to be your best bet. So you can go ahead and unlock that. And with the Scout's Honor, whoops, where is that? Okay. You can go ahead and upgrade that. I think with 200 points, you can upgrade it all the way. Just make sure, because it likes to move after you upgrade it. Yeah, so it'll be upgraded all the way. So now what this is going to allow me to do is whenever it comes week 1, whenever you assign your scouts, you can then hire 3 tier 3 scouts, which gives you 15% scouting on each player. Like I said, alternatively, you can just upgrade both of these and then go ahead and pick another thing you like. I recommend any of the trainer skills to upgrade, especially the increase or reduce wear and tear damage taken during games. 25% is pretty good. That's if you're playing with wear and tear. I recommend it because, like I said, it just feels more real. All right, so now that we got those, you go and you'll do your training camps. You'll do your weekly strategy, whatever. But yeah, so you do your training camps. You know, get your experience points for those players. If you get silver, you get 1 skill point and 2,000 XP. And if you get gold, you get 1 skill point, 2,500 XP. Sometimes it awards 2, and sometimes it will actually award your player from like a star to superstar. So I recommend doing all of those that you can, and try to go for gold. And if you're having trouble with one, just shoot for silver. I can never do this bucket drop one more than bronze. And then coffin corner, I don't really worry about my punter. So you can do that if you want to, but it's kind of annoying. All right, so then once you do that, this is the most important part. So since you don't have any of your abilities active, they're not going to take place this week. So what you need to do is you need to make sure, so I'll show you whenever you go through here, staff abilities, click X, or if you're on Xbox, A. You're going to deselect them all, and you're going to select your scouting, your player development, and your wide receiver. So now, and you go back. Trainer abilities, I would go ahead and reduce wear and tear, and then recover 7% more than half practices. It doesn't matter this week because it's the first week, but that's okay. And then here, it doesn't really matter too much right now because it's preseason. I always just sim the preseason games, but you're going to click square, confirm loadout in advance. Now you're going to see it's not going to have any of my players here that I can do because I have extra focus players. So we're going to pretend like we did our drills. So we're going to simulate the training, continue. So normally I would have done their drills to get that bonus XP for them. We'll go through, do that. Continue. All right. You can upgrade players if you want, but now we're going to pretend like we did our training camp, pretend like we did all that. So now we're going to advance to the next week. So the next week, we can now, so skip all that. That's what I was talking about. If you want to turn that off, you can. Skip animation and continue. All right. So now I can go to my weekly strategy again. And see, these are locked in. So it says 4-week duration, 6-week duration, 25-week duration. So basically, once you do the Scouts Honor, it's locked in for the entire season. The other ones, you can change them throughout the season, but you have to wait for the weeks that they're there. The trainer ones will change every single week, as will the play sheets. So keep an eye on those to make sure you have the right one that you want. This kind of takes the place of your game strategy, like run inside, run outside. But really and truly, these don't matter that much. I tend to just focus on the ones that my head coach already has, just to kind of bump those up in case you lose an assistant coach in the future. Yeah, it wants to do that. So now if you see, I will have all 6 of these open. And this is the fastest way to grow players, in my opinion. So we'll do all the drills for those, yada, 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 simulate training. So some of you are going to say I didn't have to do the scouts honors yet, and that's correct. If I wanted to, I could have put another one, but the problem is you might forget to set it, because if you don't set it by this week, preseason week 3, you will not be able to set it, and then you just wasted 190 points for nothing until next season, because you have to set it the week before for it to take place, like how I showed you with that. So basically, once you go over there, we can go all the way to the regular season. So we'll go to the regular season. So once again, every week you're going to go do the weekly strategy. You're going to make sure you have the right things in place. And then once you have this, go ahead and choose your draft class. I always do auto-generated. And this is something I do. Like I said, if you don't want to watch this part, you don't have to. But what I like to do is I like to go through and I like to make a note of how many round 1 to 2 players there are. So this class already, there's a lot of quarterbacks, halfbacks, 1, 2, 3. So there's like roughly maybe 4 good ones there. Fullbacks doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe like 5 good wide receivers. That's a pretty shallow wide receiver class. 2, 3, 4. Like 6 tight ends or so. So basically you just go through each position and I annotate what has what, and then I'll go through and I'll go to the West and I'll say, all right, the West has some wide receivers, some halfbacks, and I'll take note of the strongest positions. So that way when I go to I pull up my phone and just do notes on my phone, but that way when I go to assign the scouts, I'm like, hey, I'm getting the most out of what I need. So really it looks like for them, I'm just scrolling through real quick. So pretty decent amount of tackles actually. It looks like wide receiver and halfback might be our strongest for this one. So this is the West, so I'll make that note. So we'll go down to scouts and we'll go ahead and fire everybody that's not a 3-star. So I always keep 1 3-star that you originally get in case they don't have that one. They usually have wide receiver, cornerback ones, but I always, just in case, you can always reassign them somewhere else. But so now I'll come down and I'll find one that has wide receiver and running back. So I'll look, so no running backs in the first column. So now I'll look for running backs in the second column. Now if they don't have it, you just gotta see it. So that's the only problem, is sometimes they don't have it. So we'll go back. I'm trying to remember what the other good position was that had a lot. Anyways, but so basically you just go through like that, figure out which positions are the best, and as you set your scouts, you can hire as many as you want that are, or as many as you can for the 3-star. We'll just hire, and if you do not do this before preseason week 3, it will not work. So yes, so we can assign them all. You didn't do this, you would not be able to do this. You would just have to do the normal 3 1-stars and 1 2-star. No, what's the last one? West. So obviously it's not going to be perfect because I didn't look at all of them, but I would go through and I would look. And yeah, so that's how you do that. I'm already back up to 20 points. So every week I just kind of check in on my coach abilities before I do the weekly strategy. I can't upgrade either one of those yet. I was awarded the offensive line one. You get that one automatically, so that's one reason I always do the wide receiver one. But other than that, I hope that helped you guys out. Just make sure, like I said, the only thing I can think of is when you're sorting through your roster, just make sure you got the right scheme. So, for example, under adjust lineup, I like to have vertical power run, and then I like running a 4-3 defense. Just to me, it fits what how I like to play the most. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pay attention to that. If you want any more help with anything, please let me know. Thank you.